And welcome to a new Lead with Soft Skills podcast. I'm your host and coach, JP Warren. This podcast is all about providing you the personal and professional skill sets for you to kind of thrive and shine and kind of get out of your own way to help you in your trajectory and your journey to be a more effective leader. And today we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, something that I face on a daily level. And it's also something that whenever you do kind of face into this and lean into this belief system, this internal belief system that you have, you actually kind of find ways to disprove it and to showcase that whatever you believe or whatever's holding you back, actually that stems from something that's not even relevant in today's day and age. So providing you the skill sets to not only identify, and I'm not going to say a flaw because it's not a flaw, it's an experience. It's an experience that 8 out of 10 people, whether they're CEOs of companies or C-suite leading huge organizations, or anyone to the student in class at the university who's trying to not compete, but just try to like compare themselves with the students around them. This is the subject of imposter syndrome. And you might have heard about this subject, you might not have heard about this subject, but this subject, I'll dive into kind of my personal experience with and what my takeaways are, but this is pretty much the feeling and the experience that whatever your achievement or success is based on, it's not from your accolades. It's not from your hard work. It's pretty much based off of luck. The idea is that you are a fraud. For example, if you're sitting around a table in a meeting and you have all these different leaders of a company or executives where you feel like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I at this table? Who am I to be at this table? I interview many people from various different industries, and this always is a common theme that comes up. It's the feeling of inadequacy, is that my success is kind of based on luck, and it's not based on anything that I've done. However, the more you actually, first off, I think there's a lot of power in talking about this stuff. The more you talk about the elephant in the room and realize that you aren't alone, that a lot of different people face this. Even movie stars such as Tom Hanks, Maya Angelou face this, Elon Musk, the founder of Yahoo. All these people that you would think like that are huge achievers that have done monumentous success, they still have the same feelings that you and I have. And again, that's imposter syndrome. And I really love this subject just because I find it, we live in this society where this is hustle culture. It's always this constant comparison. Back in the 70s and 80s when they did this research for the first time, it was only 7 out of 10 people who had this experience. Minorities and women face it more just because of environmental circumstances. However, I personally believe, again, this is my hot take, that through time, through social media, through the ability to constantly compare yourself to those around you, I believe the number is a lot higher. And I think the number recently is 8 out of 10, potentially be 9 out of 10, who knows? But the point is, majority of people face this. And I think this is something that there is a certain power in being vulnerable. There is a certain power with whenever you do have these feelings of self-doubt or just non-confidence, be able to share that and being able to understand that other people face this, not just you. So today we're going to dive in 5 different types of imposter syndrome, and let's see where you can identify. When I started kind of refreshing for this episode, I was kind of going down the list. I already identified with 3. However, I might identify with a 4th one a little bit. But before we get into that, let me just kind of share a quick story about, I guess, the beauty of being vulnerable and the beautiful part about actually talking about the stuff that's kind of that you feel is holding you back, that you feel that you're alone with and kind of battling. Last year I put together this mastermind group of a lot of different business owners. First off, major imposter syndrome about that. Who was I to kind of bring together this group from various different industries to help each other kind of, whether it's building a business, strategy, or just kind of just sitting around the table venting, kind of like the founders club, if you will. And I thought it was very unique and also a very cool experience that when I was sitting there talking, I said, let's go around the table and kind of introduce ourselves. When I brought it up, my name is JP, I'm the founder of yada yada, I immediately said, okay, and I have imposter syndrome. This is something that I face. And I kind of described it. Next thing I know, every single person sitting around that table would start talking about their experience with imposter syndrome, why they face it. And here I am sitting around like, oh my gosh, this person is so successful. This person has achieved so much. This person is crushing it. Like, who are these people to experience this feeling that I have? So again, identifying and noticing that it's not just you experiencing it, it's probably the majority of people experience it, is a cool part. And I actually enjoy, whenever I do get hit with imposter syndrome, and I do understand what it is, which is the first step, is number one, identifying that you do have imposter syndrome. Whenever I do notice this, there are certain ways where you can actually disprove these limiting beliefs. So actually you can take your imposter syndrome and use it as a strength. I've written news articles, newsletters about this, and I've talked about this before, and I'm also going to be covering a podcast episode about how to actually turn your limiting beliefs into a strength based on evidence that you provide to yourself. But let's get into these 5 types and let me know where you fit in to potentially some of these. So again, the first one, we're just started, it's not again. The first one is the perfectionist. This is the idea that as an individual, I'm gonna say me or you as an individual, that everything has to be perfect. This is one of those things where whether you're a manager, whether you're a leader, and let's say you're working on this project, you get it below budget, you deliver the action items, you got the vision down, you got your team kind of worked around all this stuff, everything is perfect. You're making sure that nothing is left by chance. You submit it, next thing you know, you notice that there's a page number off, or the font on page 2, the font on page 2 is not the same on font 3, or maybe there's a minor misspell somewhere in the document. That is what you focus on. Think about people that are in your life, maybe in your circles, where you can get praises and praises and praises to this person. However, any little area of improvement that they see or that they identify, that's what they focus on. That's perfectionist. This is something that they have to be perfect, everything. And as we know, we're human. Nobody is perfect, and you don't want to be perfect. That'd be very boring. But again, as an imposter syndrome, the perfectionist needs everything perfect, and they're not going to focus on the successes of actually crushing their goal, crushing the target. They're going to be focused on that little one word that they misspelled. All right? So that's the one, the perfectionist. The second one is the Superman or Superwoman. This is the one that they have to outwork everyone. They have to take on all these tasks by themselves. They're staying late at the office. They're missing times with their kids because they have to get this stuff done. The Superman, Superwoman, it's a one-stop shop. They can do everything from the marketing, finance, accounting, bookkeeping, sales, leading the company. They are the tool to fit it all. However, what that leads to a lot of burnout. That leads to a lot of inner turmoil, where you're actually not actually getting to the job done to the levels that you wanted. So the Superman, Superwoman always faces their challenges or faces their obstacles head on, and they take it all in. No delegation. They can outwork left and right. And I think this has actually kind of risen because of this comparison culture that we constantly live in today. All right? The third one is the soloist. Hey, I'm not delegating anything to any of you clowns. All right? I need to handle this all. The soloist goes through this whenever they do get a task or a project and all that stuff, they're not delegating stuff out, and they know they should be. Actually, the lack of delegation can actually hold you back from personal growth and leadership growth. Not delegating it does reduce your time. It reduces your ability to develop leaders. So again, the soloist takes on every single aspect of that project on their own without delegating, without asking for help. If they can't do it, they're a failure. If they can't handle it all, they're a failure. So again, the soloists all on their own. All right, and how fun is doing that on your own? It's not that fun at all. The natural genius. The natural genius is someone that they base their success basically on their ability to understand complex problems or the ability to actually accomplish tasks without really diving into it too much. They're smart, they're sharp, so they don't really need to be talked through. However, whenever they do meet a challenge, and I've faced this, whether it's, I'm going to take myself for example for this. So whenever I do approach something, I feel like, okay, well, whether it's uploading a podcast, whether it's kind of getting the cover, whether it's creating the marketing material, the graphics for this, that's great and all that stuff. However, this day and age, now there's a lot of AI support out there, a lot of AI software. I feel always this big. If you're driving, that means I feel small. I feel very small and inadequate whenever I can't grasp a new AI workflow process, whatever, an AI workflow process. Simply, whenever I have to take a little more time, or whenever it's very frustrating to understand. I mean, take me building as a soloist, take me building my own website. I had to dive into it a little bit more, a little bit longer, and I was getting frustrated, and I was actually started talking very negatively about myself because I couldn't understand a simple process of like getting the forms down correctly. So again, the natural genius, you feel that the ability that you should be able to accomplish everything, and if you don't, that actually, and if you can't accomplish everything, that actually does not showcase that you are efficient in what you do. So again, that's number 4. Number 5 is the expert. You know it all. You're constantly getting certified, doing everything. You have to know it all. And if you don't know it all, you're not going to take the chance. So think about this. If there's a job requirement out there and it's, listing all this stuff and it's, 7 years in this position and you don't have 7 years, you're not going to apply for that because you don't feel like that you can because you're not the expert at that thing. So the expert always approach a situation that they know all, and that's a very challenging thing to have. So me personally, starting my own company about 3 years ago, I can definitely identify with a perfectionist. Everything, and this is not one of those things where I'm bragging about. This is one of those things where I identify this as whether it's an inadequacy or whether it's something that I can improve on. And let me ask you a question, where can you improve on this stuff? If you're identifying with any of the 5 imposter syndromes, the first step, and I think the most important step, which is the whole basis of this entire episode, is just identifying where you stand with that, okay? We're not looking to fix anything, because the first step is probably the biggest step, is having these feelings and identifying what that's how you feel. So number 1, the perfectionist. I had to get everything done my way, it had to look my way, the communication had to be my way exactly, and if I let that out, if everything wasn't perfect, whether it was the font, whether it was the graphic, whether the filter on the graphic, I would spend hours and hours and hours doing that. That often takes time away from your family. It takes the time away from your loved ones. And as a business owner, that takes time away from you working on your business, not in your business. So again, that held me back, all right? The second thing is Superman, Superwoman. Whether it's budget constraints or whether it's me learning everything from the ground up when it comes to running a company, it was one of those things where I took everything on myself. I had to outwork someone, because if I didn't outwork someone, I wouldn't be successful. I started my entrepreneurial journey late, so if I didn't work harder than anyone else, then I wouldn't be successful. So again, that mindset is, number 1, it's very harmful for me, but number 2, it pulls me away from things I should be doing and being present with family, or whether it's other projects I can do for the company. And the third thing I probably identify with is the soloist, not delegating things out. This is something where I think as leaders, business owners, whatever it is, managers in training, whatever, this is something where I think it's such a crucial skill set to learn, how to delegate. And how you properly delegate can actually free you up. It allows you to get more time freedom, and it allows you to actually create leaders so you don't have to constantly micromanage, be over someone's shoulder, be in someone's ear nonstop. The ability to delegate, to provide not just the direction, the why we're going this direction, how, time constraints, and budget constraints. The proper way to delegate, and again, we're going to do an episode on this, is so crucial when it comes to your leadership development. So the ones that I can't, a natural genius, I've never been a natural genius in anything, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine admitting that. That's something I really don't kind of identify with. However, I do face this a little bit whenever I am kind of trying to take on these new, whether these AI software or whether these new processes. That is something that I kind of struggle with. So again, imposter syndrome is something that we all face, at least the large majority of us. And then again, the first step is identifying that you do have an imposter syndrome, okay? The second step, we're gonna get into that in other future ones, but again, which ones do you have? And talk about this. I think this is something, it's very neat whenever you do kind of start talking to people about what you experience. And you're not bragging just about your successes or how early you got up and how much you hustle. When you're actually talking about the stuff that a lot of people face, that's when you build the connections. And that's actually when you grow as an individual. So hope everyone out there enjoyed this. If you are enjoying this, or you had this conversation with someone about imposter syndrome, please share this with them. They might enjoy this. Again, this is our second week of doing these episodes and podcasts, and we're looking to help you with the skill sets for your personal and professional growth. So thank you so much for tuning in to Lead with Soft Skills. I'm JP, and thanks for checking this out.